Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grove. Look at this little miracle of August the 25th, 2020. Just keep looking for that little floater. There it is, right at 4 inches. And you know what? I may need to empty this in case we get enough to fill it up and overflow. And that is only part one of our miracle. Look at this. I just don't know that this has ever happened in August. But the temperatures are in the 60s this morning. This is the thing you can only dream of. It doesn't really happen, but it did. And I'm quite sure the garden is loving it. It looks a little laid down from the rain, but it's just snuggling in. It's just wonderful. And there's actually a third part of this miracle for the gardener. They get to do something else besides water or be in the garden unless they just want to be. Like right now, I want to be out here and just experience this wonder. But I do have a long list of things I want to get done, and my husband and I are started on that list. So we started yesterday. But I did think I would show you some of the things in the garden right now. Oh my goodness, look at that. He just will not go away. He likes it here. I don't know what I'm going to do with that little rabbit, but anyway, right now I'm going to leave him alone. But this is black and blue salvia, and it's a pretty salvia. It's a tender perennial, which means it will not come back if we have a really bad winter, or if I forget to put some extra mulch on it, which I've been doing and hope to keep doing. Look at the little alyssum, how it's perked up in the rain. It's looking good. And some of the sedum are beginning to open their little flowers that the butterflies love. And I wanted to show you that my bougainvillea is opened quite a bit more and looking so lovely. I truly love this little bougainvillea. I love the color, the bright, pretty color of it, and especially just when it fills out and just brightens up the whole garden. And right now, I'm sure it's filling all that beauty. And I don't know if I showed you that I did put this little Dracaena in a different pot. It was pulling it or raising up out of the soil around its root, but now it's covered again and hopefully has a real good chance to make it through the winter, even in my home. As you know, I do not do well with houseplants. This is another of the Dracaenas with a little bit of variegation in the foliage, and it also needs a bigger pot. So I'm going to have to, while I'm out and about this week, if possible, I'm going to see if I can find another bigger pot to put this in. Look at the new growth on my pencil tree. I just can't believe it's just really taken off and going this year when it just kind of sat there last year and didn't do anything. So don't give up on your plants. You know, sometimes they just have an off year, I guess, like we do. Let's say an off week or something besides the whole year. That's a lot of off. And I just talked to you about the coleus last week, but look at them today, how bright they are. just really enjoying this rain. And I'm seeing that my Mexican flame vine is really taking off too. I'm going to put this one, just kind of get my hands full, but here I'm going to give it just a little twirl around that tomato cage so it can go ahead and fill that up. And pretty soon it will probably be full of little orange blossoms. And a rainy day like this is a good day to clip back if you have some. Look, there he is again. But if you have some coleus that you can clip back, like this pretty redhead coleus, you can start it somewhere else in this kind of weather. I'm going to try to get some of that done maybe, but I do have some other priorities that I've got to get after. They're not really fun things to do, but they're things I definitely will just want to get done and get them off my mind and just know that they're taken care of. And just look at this impatient, how it's filled out so wonderfully. I think the last time I showed this to you, it was a little bit wilty. That heat and just lack of rain and moisture was just really getting to it, but it's totally turned around from that. But on a sad note, my little pussy willow tree is gone. This one was coming back up alive from the root here, but there's very little, if any, life left in it now. So little by little it just went away, and if I want another, I guess I'll have to buy another. I'm going to have to check on that and see what their expected life is, because if it's not very long, I don't want to actually put the money in it again. But it was wonderful to have it, because the pretty catkins that come up in the early spring, and while the ground is nice and soft, would be a great time for me to get some starts for my sister Jetty and take them to her in the early fall season when it's cool enough that they'll be able to transplant without going into shock, and where it'd just be a good situation for them to get started in. And I might like to trim down some of what I call my brother's pot, because he gave this to me. But when I put this in here, I thought, oh, this is going to be so pretty. But actually, it hasn't done much. But if I trim it down a little, it might start looking good. And I'm seeing that I do have a forget-me-not plant right here that's growing up, and maybe it'll put some pretty color in there for me too. And probably if I snip these salvia old dead blooms off, it might give me another round of pretty blue spikes. And my verbena that I had in here, it has blooms sporadically off and on, but it's not doing much either. And I have trimmed it back once, but I think it could stand another little trim just to see if maybe it might put on some more bloom for us this fall. And I always love the Silver Falls dichondra. And it is growing down. It's not growing up, it's growing down. It's quite beautiful, really, and gives just a little extra special feel to the garden. And I always like it with another that powder blue color. So this is a licorice plant that I put with it this year, but there's also the licorice that really trails. Now this is also called icicles plant. So let me go around and show you another one of the licorice plants. And it is a little weighed down, so it's not showing its to its greatest beauty, but it just trails and trails and trails and splays out all over the pot, and it's just another lovely little licorice plant. You know, I'm going to have to go to the front and show you my other one. Then I'll come back to the back maybe. And this is the first licorice plant that I picked out for my garden because I love this beautiful little mint green, pale mint green color. It doesn't always do real well for me, but you can tell the rain has got a little bit bedraggled, but it has splayed out too all over and is looking so great. This is the best it's ever done for me, actually. And I do love this little plant. It always catches my attention in the nurseries when they're full of beautiful plants, and this one will stand out in a crowd. And this is another little pot that I need to trim some stuff down out of it. Can't even see my little squirrel in there. But it is looking good, and it's you can tell it's definitely loving this rain, and I love it with this little yellow green, pale yellow green salvia because it just matches so well. And look at this little profusion zinnia right there. Is why they call them profusion zinnias, because when they do, I think this is one little plant and it's looking so great and so full of bloom. Now my little the flower that has the Hawaiian lei that's made from these flowers, and I'm not thinking of its name. It's not that hard to think of. I don't know why I always stump on this, but it has not gone ahead and opened up its little leaves this time, and I was so hoping and thinking that it would, but I think it's had some type of insect on it. At least I know it's had some grasshoppers on it, but maybe something else, because it just hadn't had a chance this season to open up and look pretty. The white Gomphrena globe flower is shining against the green this morning too. And then this is some of the pink. And this is my other bougainvillea, but it has not bloomed yet. I'm still hoping that it will, but you know, it's filling out so wonderfully and looks so good, but I'll have to trim most of this off to take it inside. And you know what, September is right upon us, and that's the time to bring your house plants in. I've learned. I used to, well, let's wait till it's closer to frost so I can enjoy them outside more, but if you wait, sometimes it'll come unexpectedly and you'll be like, oh, I wish I would have taken that in. So I'm going to try to get them taken in as soon as possible. Look at this while I'm talking about profusion zinnias. These are the double profusion zinnias. They're looking good today. The last time when I watered these, they were just all wilted down. I didn't know if they would come back out of it, but you know, August can truly do a number on our plants, and not in a good way either. But that rain is just the opposite. It just like brings them back to life and lets them have another opportunity to just shine. And this is more of the pretty purple alyssum in bloom. And the sedum. More of the sedum, and I see that two of these have gotten heavy and broken off, or at least bent over very far, but these would be perfect to start another plant with, and the perfect time to do it in the rain. I would like to get some of those started for my sister too. Now that is one plant she won't have to do much to. Clip it back in the springtime, the old dead stuff, and just let it go again. And I'm very proud of my begonia. Just this beautiful little, it's a dragon wing begonia, and it has filled out. Since I cut the top of it off and used it in another spot, it has just widened out and filled out and looks really good. And this is more of the sedum, and this is the miniature sedum. So it gets pretty good size really, but if you just put it in a small pot, they don't get nearly as big. You know, I'm going to have to go over there so I can show you that a little bit better. But I wanted to say that this is another plant that you just literally don't have to worry about. I think just the water that God gives it is going to be enough for it, especially once it gets established. That first year it may need some extra attention and extra water, but one of the very few plants that will just let it actually pretty much take care of itself. So I came back over here, and you can tell that this sedum is one of the larger sedum, like the autumn sedum, but these little ones beside it in these small pots are the miniature sedum called Thunderstorm. Wait a minute. I always get these mixed up now that there is a thunderstorm, but this is Thundercloud, like before the storm, because it's the smaller of the two. It's Thundercloud, and if you put those in little pots, they will last a long time without you even having to divide them, and come back every single season they have for me, and I think they will keep doing that. This little petunia is looking terrible from the rain, but if you had to have a battery change. But I was saying to remember how beautiful these looked all summer long, and I think they will again. I may need to trim them back one more time though for fall, but I think they'll grow back out and do some more of this, putting out these beautiful blooms. That this is definitely the type of weather that I like to work in the garden in. You can transplant without it skipping a beat. Most usually it's cool enough you can enjoy it instead of suffer through it like we've been doing. And look at this pretty dark blue salvia. I did trim this one back, and it, you can tell, has definitely put up some more pretty blue spikes. And I'm also noticing that this little trailing coleus is looking great and filling out a little bit more. And I hope these will go ahead and do the same thing as far as filling out, looking pretty. And I would like to take a piece of this and put it in the back in that little pot I just showed to you that has the powder blue color of or shade of a licorice plant. And look at this spot of red. Actually 2 spots of red, but this bright red. And I don't know if it's showing up as bright, deep red as it is in real, but it's still pretty. And this little one right here, that's a penta. If I can get it in focus for you. Look at this little pot of profusion zinnias. And the purple gomphrena, it's really filled out and looking good this morning too. So I'm also seeing a bloom on my aster. And this is the pretty pink penta. Pentas are wonderful for drawing butterflies too. They love anything that is like a flower made up of many little flowers. I would say that for my money, the coleus and the impatiens are definitely my favorites for shade, for color, but then you can't leave out the hostas, or I can't. I love the pretty hostas. I was actually shocked to learn that some people don't like hostas, but to me they're just lovely green fillers for the shade garden, and they are just such, to me, a very beautiful plant. I would not want to be without them. Of course, this is not a hosta, this is an elephant ear, but it's turning out really good too. And I noticed that I forgot that I put a caladium plant in there too, so they're growing in there together, which is actually fine. But isn't it strange how God actually has us all geared up to work the way we're supposed to anyway? He's already what does the Bible say? I can't remember all the words. Like when David was saying, he knew me before I was in my mother's womb. And so, you know, I've noticed about myself, when I forget that I've done something, I will do it again. And usually it's the same thing. This happened to be a elephant ear caladium and this bright, pretty red and green caladium that I actually put this one in first earlier, and then I put this little bulb in later in the season. Again, oh my, at this beautiful copper plant, because it is just growing so big. I doubt if I'll ever be able to fit that in my little house. I'll have to trim it way down and it'll be little again, but isn't it beautiful right now? And I'm thinking this little black lotus foliage is looking great. So airy and ferny and splayed out and beautiful. It doesn't have any bloom right now. Looks like it's trying to get one, but it's very pretty. And I'm seeing that there are some zinnia seeds coming in there. I'm not sure that I want to leave those there. I don't know if they would transplant, but probably in this weather they have a chance. And I would like to keep my little black lotus plant where I can bring it in, because it also is not hardy. Why do I do this? I don't know. They're just so beautiful, and I just have to try them. But if they would just live through the winter, that'd be great. But they don't always live through the winter for me. But I hope this one will. And I saved a couple of buckets full of rainwater for the plants that are under the eave of the house that didn't get any of the rainwater. So now they'll be able to have some too. Look at this lovely impatient. That would make you want impatiens in your garden. And they do well in Oklahoma in all that heat, but they do need a little shade, and they also need to be watered regularly and kept moist. But it's just like so much better when someone else cooks the food for you. Well, it's so much better when someone else waters the garden for me. I just love it when God steps in and takes care of that little chore, that big chore. You know, I love watering actually, but not every day, and not in the heat, day after day. So, yeah, you can make work out of anything. You know, I have a knack of doing that, it seems like. Also, I've noticed that this little Gara swirling butterflies is putting on a few little bloom, and if it gets a lot more, which I'm thinking it will and hoping it will, I'll show it to you again. Look at these lovely begonias, Rex begonias. This is the Polymer Prince, which is my favorite, and it's time for them to come in soon. But look how it's enjoying the rain and turning these beautiful different shades of green, like emerald and jade. And this one is actually coming. I thought it was going to die because there was nothing left of it, but it's actually put on quite a few more little leaves, and I'm hoping it will continue on to live for me and to do great at some point. This one I'm seeing, it has a lot of yucky leaves on it too, but it has some pretty ones on there too. I do so badly with houseplants that this will look terrible if it even lives by the time I bring it out. And right now it's just looking great. It's just putting down stems so long they're rooting themselves in the soil beneath it and just totally filling this little pot out, and looks so good. And we are back to the back gardens, and I wanted to show you this one more time because I put this little begonia in here, and I also had one of those that I showed you in the front, one of the coleuses right in this area right here, which there's nothing there now. So, but I think if I had one of those little red orange looking coleus right in that area, it would just bring this little begonia out, the color in it, so much more, and also just make this whole little arrangement in this pot look better. And it's beginning to sprinkle a little bit heavily, not terribly so, but probably enough I need to get the camera in and get myself in and get back to my long list of things that I need to get done. And this is more of the bright blue Victorian sage or salvia, and this is again the white Gomphrena globe flower, and my little orange hummingbird mint is still trying. And this is another pot that I probably will go to strictly sedum next year. You can see why I would miss all the beautiful color, different textures and sizes and shapes and all of this, but right now it's worth more to me to have it a little easier to take care of, but I will remember these beauties. And this lovely little plant, I lost one, and then I just took because I stepped on it, I think, when we were trying to trim the trees down earlier this spring, but the one in the root in the ground died, and the little stem above it looked so scraggly I didn't really know if it for sure that it was even there. But when it bloomed, I definitely knew it was there. And I don't know if this is the one that I put in the ground or the one that my friend Susie trimmed off of hers, and I put that one in the ground, but either way I have it again, and I'm so happy about that because she actually bought this little plant for me. So I'm hoping I can mulch it up good. I've had them before, at least twice before, but I could never keep them through the winter, but I'm going to try again thanks to her. And this little pot has had, it's been so lopsided. It had 2 or 3 tall ones up here just straight up and not fitting in cohesively with the rest of the pot. So I tried to get it down a little better, and I wanted a taller one in the back, which it is a little bit taller, but it should be taller than this little angel so you can really see it, but it could get there. And then I put this pretty bright redhead coleus in there with it just to really kind of cap it off. So I'm hoping that it will continue to look good, and it has a very good chance now because the weather is going to be nice enough that maybe it'll just keep right on going. And I did talk to my sister today and told her what I had in mind to come and see her and bring her some plants. And she said, oh yes, that would be great. So if things work out where I can, I'm going to try to go ahead while the ground is soft and get her some started in some of the little grow pots, and then take them to her as early in the fall season as I can while the weather is still nice. We don't want to, if we go back to really hot weather, that will not be a good time to transplant them. But if they're in their grow pots, I can put them more in the shade and take care of them here until I have some good days to take them to her house and plant them. So that's our plan. And I wanted to show you this autumn clematis because it looks like it's shaping up to be very beautiful. Sometimes this all opens up close together and just really makes a beautiful showing. And then sometimes it just has several of the pretty white blooms, and then they go out and then some more come in, and it just kind of sporadically does that blooming thing. But it's the most beautiful, of course, when it all blooms at the same time and looks just gorgeous. And I'm noticing this top of it here is looking not quite as good as the rest, and I'm wondering, sometimes this gets those little grayish green blister bugs. Looky there. I don't know if I can show it to you. I think you can see it there. That is what's happening. So I'm going to go get some insecticide and spray this before it gets any worse. So that was not my idea to show you that part, but it is good that I saw it and can get it sprayed, and then maybe it can keep on going and just filling out and becoming a beautiful little mound of autumn clematis. Did you see that rabbit taken off? So I did just now spray this with insecticide, and I emptied a rain gauge of those 4 inches because I don't think our chances of getting rain is over yet. So maybe we'll still get more, and more days of cooler weather are in the forecast, or maybe not cooler than it is today, but still cool weather, and I'm hoping for that, of course. I wish I didn't have all this other stuff I need to do, but I do. So excuse me. So anyway, I did spray this, and I think it is like rainproof in 15 minutes. So hopefully we won't get rain for 15 minutes, and hopefully we will get rain after that. And I know it's already wet from the rain, so I sprayed it fairly heavily and hope that will take care of the problem. If it doesn't, I'll come back out and give it another round of spraying. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.